Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 26th of October, now it's 1:30, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with the Ukrainian special military operation. According to reports from Russian media or Russian language pages, there were no breakthroughs on any of the sectors of the front line during the previous 12 to 24 hours. It's usual stuff, artillery duels mainly between the sides, reckoning force operations and drone wars, constant drone wars in which Russian side definitely have upper hand. And yesterday, for example, I did a share on my Telegram page quite a few videos with Russian drones targeting Ukrainian positions or military equipment, and one of those videos were about destruction of yet another German-made Leopard 2 main battle tank on one of the sectors of the front. Excuse me. And I guess, well, German leadership or military-industrial complex definitely not going to be happy to see that their quite expensive and well-promoted worldwide Leopard 2 tank was destroyed by cheap FPV drone, with cheap drone that costs, I don't know, few $100. But that's a reality. That's a reality of modern warfare. And one may say that after this conflict, question is main battle tanks are obsolete, will regain yet another momentum, because it seems like alternative weapons definitely are having their toll on the heavily armored vehicles and they use their effectiveness on the battlefield. But anyway, let's continue with the update. So as I said, it's artillery duels mainly between the sides and the drone wars. Russian forces are holding initiative all along the front line and are conducting local scale offensive operations in Orekhov, Bridgehead, which is Zaporozhye sector of the front line, in South Donetsk sector, and all along up to Seversk and Kupiansk directions. Ukrainian side basically are unable at this point to even hope for successful offensive operations. They may try, they may conduct some suicidal operations like they do on regular basis, but well, when it comes to effectiveness of those attacks, you can judge by yourself. We can take map, this pro-Ukrainian map, by the way, now, and check very same map like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and you tell me if Ukrainian side did manage to achieve anything whatsoever on scale of significance. Of course not. In Kherson direction, there still are military experts that are expecting that Kiev regime will conduct or at least try mass crossing of the Dnieper River, and also simultaneously maritime operations in direction of Kimbursky Spit and also western coastline of Crimea. But well, lately I become quite skeptical that Kiev regime will be able to pull off such an operation. If you remember, about 2 months ago, before autumn, really, I was also considering it's possible that Kiev regime will conduct mass crossing of Dnieper River simultaneously with second wave of counteroffensive in Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, if that counteroffensive will even take place. And as we know now, there was no second wave of counteroffensive in direction of Azov Sea from Ukrainian forces, and therefore I don't think mass crossing of Dnieper River will take place. Although Ukrainian side on regular basis, on daily basis, are sending more and more units on the left bank. Significant number of those units are not even reaching left bank, and their boats are destroyed during the crossing of the Dnieper River.
But when it comes to left bank, Ukrainian side do have some small footholds in several areas, but when it comes to control over the situation, it's Russian side is in full control, and I did not see any reports on any of the channels that there is any danger that Ukrainian forces will manage to breach Russian defense lines in this area. Overall, as I said, initiative is in Russian hands. Russian forces are conducting step-by-step local-scale offensive operations and moving forward, especially successfully in Avdiivka direction, where basically Russian forces complete the main task and partially encircled Avdiivka, establishing full control over the heights around the cities. And well, Avdiivka at this point definitely is in operational encirclement, and in my understanding it will take about 3-4 weeks. Shortages of reinforcements, weapons, munition will take its toll on garnison of Avdiivka, Ukrainian garrison, and after that I guess Russian side will begin entering the city and taking control over the blocks of the city one by one, like it happened in Bakhmut. Basically my prediction seems like my prediction about Avdiivka, or my reading of big picture, that Russian side will create a trap for Ukrainian forces in Avdiivka and will use this trap as a second kind of Bakhmut, did become true. And big channels, by the way, nowadays, big names in this field are saying exactly that Avdiivka will be second Bakhmut for Ukrainian armed forces. Overall initiative, as I said, in Russian hands, and at this point, only question is when Russian side will begin decisive offensive operations during the winter time, and what scale that offensives will have. Will it take part on the northern sectors only, or all along the front line from Kherson to Kharkov? Let's see. That's quite interesting question that we don't have an answer yet. Only probably a few people in Russian general staff knows about scale of Russian inevitable winter offensives. Anyway, before I continue with some other news, let me remind you, dear friends, that this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram exists solely thanks to support of members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. And dear friends, according to YouTube statistics, which cannot be trusted, but still we don't have any other data, up to 20, sometimes even 30% of viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed, please consider to do so, especially if you are interested in news from Russia and Russian point of view. I guess at least on YouTube, there is not that many channels from Russia that are reporting about developments worldwide from Russian perspective. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that the Defense Minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Shoigu, did made quite an interesting statement yet again about special military operation, and he said during his meeting with military personnel of Vostok group of forces that Ukrainian side is losing its capabilities significantly, and it's unlikely, as I said many times before, that Ukrainian armed forces will ever be able to regain initiative on any of the sectors of the front line. And dear friend, Shoigu also made a very interesting statement a very interesting statement during his meeting. He spoke about destruction of about 25 different type of planes or aerial vehicles in 5 days. And I did went through news. I was interested in what he was talking about, and Shoigu did said that Russian S-400 air defense system, one of the batteries, did manage to shut down 24 Ukrainian planes in 5 days with the active support of A-50 plane. A-50 is a Russian AWACS plane. Probably you are familiar with those types of planes. They have a big radar on the top, and A-50 is based on Il-76 transport plane. And well, I guess one may take the statement of Shoigu with pinch of salt, but anyway, 24 planes to be destroyed in 5 days. That's quite achievement, really, for any unit. And in this case, this was done by S-400, the great advertise for this system, for sure. And undoubtedly, there will be a long queue after special military operation of customers to purchase or buy S-400 air defense systems. And dear friends, I did report during the previous days that according to Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian side lost almost a dozen of its MiG-29 fighter jets, also several Su-25 attack planes, several helicopters, and besides S-400 air defense systems, I'm quite sure some of those planes were shut down by Russian MiG-31 long-range interceptors that were deployed in the southern sectors of the front line, which was announced by Putin himself, by President of Russian Federation. Although, of course, Putin did spoke that these planes have Kinzhals, and this deployment was kind of Russian answer to increase military presence of US in the Mediterranean. But very same MiG-31s are carrying long-range, extremely long-range hypersonic air-to-air missiles also, and they can shut down enemy planes on distances of 100, 150, 200 kilometers. And if I'm not mistaken, exactly MiG-31 holds world record for longest air-to-air kill. So it's very much possible that it was not just S-400 air defense systems that were extremely successful, but also MiG-31s that basically decimated the last remnants of Ukrainian Air Force. One may wonder how many planes Kiev regime has left, because we all know that NATO member states under leadership of US were looking for these Soviet era planes all around the world, and they were buying those planes and sending to Kiev regime. But well, lately we definitely notice that there were less and less launches from Storm Shadow, from Su-24s, for example, or launches of cruise missiles from Ukrainian side. And this also can be indicator that air defense of Kiev regime, or Air Force of Kiev regime, is basically non-existent at this point. Maybe they have 1 or 2 planes somewhere, but whenever they will take off, I guess Russian air defense systems and interceptors will take them down. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that in Ukraine's Rada, which is parliament, announcement was made that mobilization in Ukraine will increase further. Although, I mean, question is rising, who they gonna mobilize next? Because former Prime Minister of Ukraine already did made statement that this country exhausted its mobilization resources, and if they will continue to mobilize military age people, they will, in that case, they have to take they have to remove workforce from strategic infrastructure, and in that case, Ukraine will begin experiencing significant issues with the energy supply, with the transport communications, and so on, because only men that still military age men that are still not mobilized are working in these strategic fields that are necessary to maintain infrastructure. And well, let's see if Kiev regime will begin mobilizing them also. In some Telegram channels, there are reports, by the way, that in some small towns in Ukraine, this enlistment representatives of enlistment offices are entering these small villages and towns and grabbing just all men without questions, just all of them, everyone they see, and sending to training ground, formally training ground, and after 2 weeks these people are sent to frontline, and many of them are surrendering at the first opportunity, by the way. And just a day or two ago I was watching on some listening to some video interview with the POW, Ukrainian POW, and he said that he hardly can walk. He can hardly walk. He had a leg broken in 5 places as some accident, and he had some difficulties to move around, and he was still mobilized. And he ended up being POW because he could not run. When Russian forces conduct local scale offensive operation and establish control over the stronghold, one of the Ukrainian strongholds where this Ukrainian soldier was, whoever survived did manage to run away, but this guy, he could not, and he just surrendered. What else he could do? And that's what this Ukrainian mobilization is, really. They are grabbing people without questions and sending to the front line. There are some horrific stories, by the way, that Ukrainian side is mobilizing people that have no hand or feet, yet again because of some accidents in the past. So, well, Kiev regime is definitely desperate if they are conducting such stuff. And a few days ago I did report, if you remember, that Kiev regime is beginning to actively mobilize females also, and many experts are now expecting that there will be new waves of refugees from Ukraine. This time females will begin run away. Females with some medical skills or education. And also, by the way, Ukrainian side did make statement that it's not just enlistment representatives of enlistment offices that can issue or give order to people to be mobilized, but anybody really, any businesses, any representatives of a state, a local, federal, any can give those people, military age people, this paperwork that they have been mobilized, and if they are refusing, then they will end up under criminal charge straight away. So it's total mess at this point. Kiev regime is in some kind of, I don't know, downfall, hysterical downfall, and on daily basis situation is getting worse and worse. Let's continue, and we have a report here that Russian side did shut down 2 ATACMS missiles yesterday, according to Russian Defense Ministry. And well, if that's the case, then I wonder how many ATACMS Kiev regime has left. Maybe none at this point, because according to reports from media, some reports said that Kiev regime received 12 ATACMS missiles. Some reports say 18. And some say 20, no more than. I never see any report that US delivered more than 20 ATACMS missiles, and according to some military experts, Kiev regime already used about more than 12, for sure. Majority of which was shut down. And at this point, I wonder how many those type of weapons Kiev regime has left. Maybe really none. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that new government of Slovakia, by the way, refused to continue military aid to Ukraine, which is quite interesting. Fico, by the way, new prime minister, did make such a statement, and he is prioritizing interests of Slovakia and Slovakia's economy and defense, which is quite understandable. During the recent parliamentary elections, Fico did run exactly on this platform that Slovakia will stop aiding this supplying aid to Kiev regime, and well, I guess he was serious. He was not joking around. And from now on, Slovakia will stay out of this confrontation. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that some senators in the US, according to Wall Street Journal, are complaining that White House is combining aid for Ukraine and Israel, and this group of senators want aid for Israel to be separated from Ukrainian story, because it has high likelihood to be approved when aid for Ukraine is still under questions, and many Republicans are not willing to support further deliveries of weapons or money to Kiev regime. Let's see how the situation develops. But as I said quite a few times before, man, I think this 61.3 billion aid package for Ukraine, that is included in this 100 billion project that Biden administration did come up with. This 61 billion is, I guess, one last big paycheck from Ukraine, from Ukrainian story, for a military-industrial complex of US and corrupt US politicians. So, because of this, I guess it's highly likely that eventually military-industrial complex and some other influence, other groups that have significant influence will definitely pressure enough Republicans or US Congress and Senate to make sure that they will eventually receive this aid package, will be approved, and they will receive their billions, because of course we all know that from this 61 billion, significant amount will eventually end up on accounts of military industrial complex of US and corrupt politicians, corrupt US politicians. And also in accounts of Zelensky and his associates. Of course, they're going to receive some money from this 60 billion, undoubtedly. And when it comes to Ukraine itself, Ukraine will probably receive, I don't know, a billion to, in reality, maybe even less than that. All other, rest of this money will go to some other means, to other directions. But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Borrell, by the way, Joseph Borrell, formerly head of EU diplomacy, did react on statements from Hungary, especially on statements of Prime Minister of Hungary, Orban, who said that EU nowadays resembles Soviet Union by constantly trying to suppress independent states, member states of EU. And well, Borrell and these EU bureaucrats probably were not happy, and he did stated that Orban, no one is keeping Orban or Hungary in the EU by force. Okay, that's quite a statement, really, to come up with, and I'm quite sure Budapest will react on this statement. And at this point, I guess EU is somewhat beneficial for Hungary. Otherwise, they will leave this failed structure, failed quasi-state for sure. And not just Hungary, by the way. Many other states are quite on the side of Eurosceptics. And well, I'm interested how will Hungary react on the statements of Borrell. Let's end next, by the way, Middle East, of course. Middle East, big topic, escalation between Israel and Palestine. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Netanyahu, according to media, by the way, according to undisclosed sources of media, in this particular case, Axios, Netanyahu wants to postpone ground operation in the Gaza Strip because he thinks Israeli army is not yet ready to conduct such operation. Maybe this is the case. Maybe this is true. At this point, we cannot know for sure what kind of plans Netanyahu's government or Washington and London have. But international pressure definitely rising on Israel. Definitely rising on Israel. And at this point, it's not just Russia or China or India that are talking about necessity to begin peace talks and to ceasefire. Also many other countries, by the way. I just read today statements from President of Brazil, who is also not just critical of these plans of Israel to conduct ground operation, but, well, he almost openly blamed Netanyahu's government in war crimes. He did not use those words, but his statement was very, very strong for sure. And you can read that, some part of these statements on my Telegram page, by the way, if you're interested. I did share that on Telegram, but let's see how the situation develop. I mean, initially, everyone probably did expect that Israel will conduct this ground operation in short time. But now it seems like for whatever reasons, this ground operation have been postponed. Large-scale ground operation have been postponed, maybe indefinitely. Who knows? Same time, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting that today Israeli military personnel did conduct a tank raid in the northern Gaza. This was a small reckoning force operation, no ground invasion, of course. But yet again, I mean, this type of operations, reckoning force operations, does indicate that despite the statements, Israeli side is actively working on the plans for ground operation, which will probably probably will eventually begun sometime in the future. Question is, will Netanyahu and his government, Washington and London, and the secret services of US and UK provoke further escalation of this crisis involving Hezbollah and then Iran? That's a big question that at this point no one has an answer for. But let's see. In next several days we will probably know more details about developments in the Middle East. Anyway, let's continue. And TASS News Agency is reporting, by the way, based on statements of Ministry of Health of Palestine, that number of killed civilians in Palestine as a result of this escalation exceeded 6,500, which is, I mean, tragedy, of course, and it's almost 3,000 kids died, by the way. Here, in this report, we can see that from these 6,546 killed, 2,704 were kids. 1,584 were women, female, and 364 elderly people. And more than 17,000 were wounded, by the way, already. So some horrific situation, definitely humanitarian disaster, and same time, by the way, of course, Israeli side also has losses. If I'm not mistaken, over 2,000 Israelis were killed and about 5,000 wounded, which is also tragedy. And that's why world community have to intervene somehow and end this madness. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Israel will stop issuing visas for UN workers, by the way, that want to visit Israel or Palestine. And this step from Israeli government is due to statements that head of UN, Gutierrez, made. And according to Israeli side, Gutierrez was pro-Palestinian in his speeches. And well, I don't know, man. This is not serious stuff. I mean, these people adults even? How they are acting? We are talking about UN. I mean, maybe UN as an institution is a failed one. It's not really capable of much. But at least formally, UN is a more significant body of international field. And not to issue visas for UN stuff, that's quite something really. But we did see this kind of actions from US also, by the way, when US is not issuing visas for Russian delegations when they are going to UN. And formally US don't really have a right to do so. But when Washington did care about what he can and what he can't do, according to international laws or according to UN treaties. Anyway, let's continue. And well, Gutierrez did come up with a statement in reaction to this Israeli move and said that he never supported Hamas. In his statements, well, as I said, I mean, this is too childish, though. I mean, serious people should not act this way. I mean, I don't know. And I'm quite sure Gutierrez did not make any statement in support of Hamas. I mean, who will make such a statement? Really? Nobody will, probably. But Palestinian society, Palestinians and Hamas are very different stuff, isn't it? And to support Palestinians, it don't mean at all that you are supporting Hamas. Absolutely not. And after all, by the way, many may forget that when we are talking about Palestine, it's not just Hamas, it's many other organizations, including Fatah, which is a ruling party in West Bank. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Erdogan, president of Turkey, did made, by the way, yesterday quite strong statements in regards to this escalation in between Israel and Palestine. He was very critical of Israel, and well, he announced that he will no longer go for a visit to Israel. His visit, which was planned, by the way, will be postponed indefinitely. But yet again, I know nowadays there are many talks what Turkey will do, what will be Turkey's position, because Turkey is a major military force in this region. After all, Turkey has the biggest army in NATO, by the way, after US. And the Turkey's military is definitely forced to be reckoned with. And that's why I see questions in the comment section. Will Turkey get involved in this confrontation? And many other channels are also discussing this topic. I just listened this morning a conversation of Judge Napolitano and Colin McGregor
from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and Colonel McGregor was saying that there is some risk that Turkey may get involved in this confrontation and send its hundreds and hundreds of thousands of military personnel through Syria into Golan Heights. Theoretically, that's possible, of course. And, well, if you take a look on the map, by the way, this is Syria here, this is Turkey, and of course, theoretically, Turkey, with agreements with Syrian government, can basically send its troops to Golan Heights or even enter Israel, but this is theoretical talk, by the way. In reality, me personally, I'm very skeptical that Turkey will go even a step further than strong statements. I don't think so. There is not even slight chance, by the way, that Turkey will get involved in this confrontation militarily. I just don't see it happening. I mean, it's impossible. Erdogan may be, you know, extravagant politician, but he's a realist same time. He's a realist, and I don't think he will escalate with Israel any further than strong statements, man. No. Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. And by the way, some other additional news. RIA Novosti is reporting that Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, instead of participating in the meeting of heads of governments of Commonwealth of independent states. This is organization that was created by former Soviet republics, majority of former Soviet republics, and Armenia is a part of also this organization. So instead of participating in the meeting of council of heads of governments of this organization, Pashinyan did make decision to go to Georgia today. Well, interesting move. Yet again, Yerevan, official Yerevan, on daily basis almost demonstrates its anger on Moscow, or its disagreements with Moscow, its frustration maybe somewhat, because at this point, I mean, it's truly hard to understand what Pashinyan really wants. He wanted to destroy relationships with Russia. Okay, he did it. And what next? What is next, really? How long he gonna act this way by, you know, making this démarche against Moscow and kind of provoking Moscow? I mean, this is not serious stuff, man. But yet again, how can you expect any seriousness from puppets of U.S., from puppets of U.S. Private and state institutions? And I remind you, dear friends, that Pashinyan and his associates, many of his associates, are assets of Soros. They're actively participating on these Soros programs for more than a decade, and they have been created by Soros, really. And when we are talking about Soros, of course, we are talking about State Department of US, Secret Services of US, and so on. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russia received from US, how long is this update? 39 minutes. Okay, I will just go through headlines. So according to RIA Novosti, Russian side did receive from US through diplomatic means proposal to begin work on new kind of treaty between Russia and US for strategic stability and control of weapons. And in this case, of course, we are talking about strategic offensive weapons. And well, at this stage, and this was stated, by the way, by Sergei Ryabkov. Sergei Ryabkov, he is a deputy minister of Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia. And well,
when I read this information, first thought was that probably Pentagon and Washington or ruling class in the US are kind of nervous because of this rapid development in Russia of new generation of weapons, nuclear capable weapons included, hypersonic missiles, hypersonic gliders, sea drones, and so on. And maybe Washington, Pentagon, and some secret services in US come up with this crazy idea that to create some trap for Russia to to sign some treaties, new treaties, and therefore gain some time for themselves so that they will somehow catch up with Russia when it comes to development of this new generation of nuclear capable weapons, strategic weapons. It's just too obvious. It's too obvious. I don't think they're gonna fool Russian diplomats or Russian politicians by this move. So formally, of course, Moscow will say, okay, let's talk. But in reality, I don't think Moscow will sign any agreement with US at this point. It's just impossible. You cannot trust current leadership of US or current ruling class of US. It's just it's simply impossible. It's just impossible. Let's continue now. And by the way, Council of Federation in Russia approved a new bill according to which Russia is no longer participating in a treaty on a ban of nuclear tests. This is quite significant development. Also, recently some satellite images were circulating on internet from Novaya Zemlya, which is a Soviet-era nuclear test site, island, by the way, Novaya Zemlya, on the north. This is, by the way, Novaya Zemlya archipelago. There is bigger island and the small islands, of course, around. And it was together with Semipalatinsk, which was in Kazakhstan. Novaya Zemlya was a major nuclear testing site, and if some renovation or some construction work is taking place in Novaya Zemlya, that can be interpreted as a preparation for possible nuclear tests. And Russia now, well, by legal means, are free to conduct nuclear tests after this law was approved, to withdraw Russia from that treaty. Same time, by the way, Russian officials are saying that Russia is not planning any nuclear tests anytime soon, but Russia will make a revision of its current position if the US will conduct nuclear tests. And by the way, just recently there were some reports that US did conduct some kind of chemical testing on one of its nuclear testing sites, and that may also be kind of indicator that US is preparing some nuclear tests. But anyway, this type of development is definitely not good for the world, because countries may enter yet again in a nuclear race, which will not benefit human civilization, let's say this way, for sure. Because when we are talking about nuclear, we have to take in account the entire world, because this is not just some ordinary grenade we are discussing. Anyway, let's continue. And well, RT is reporting that the Chinese defense minister, who was missing for quite a few months now, actually are sacked. And well, let me read several sentences. The Chinese government has confirmed the dismissal of Defense Minister Li Shangfu following weeks of speculations about the officials' whereabouts due to his lengthy absence from the public spotlight. So yes, this individual was sacked. If I'm not mistaken, these rumors about he being sacked began straight after his latest visit in Russia. So maybe it has something to do with his visit in Russia. Maybe he did not maybe his visit was not as successful as Chinese leadership were hoping for, and that's a result. Or maybe it has nothing to do with the visit to Russia. That's also a possibility. But anyway, China will have new defense minister from now on. Also, by the way, RT is reporting, and this is quite disturbing news, by the way. I did not expect to ever see news from United Kingdom, such news, but let me read it for you. So, headline is: more than a million UK children living in the poverty. That's a study that was conducted in the UK. So almost 4 million people, including more than a million children in Britain, experienced the most extreme form of poverty last year, according to a recent study published by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, a local social change organization. According to charity, the number of Britons experiencing destitution surged 61% between 2019 and 2022, with 3.8 million people going through this level of poverty. Destitution is defined as the inability to meet basic physical needs like staying fed, warm, clean, and dry, either due to lack of essentials such as clothing, heating, shelter, and food, or because income is so low that people cannot afford to buy these items. Well, I always see UK as a prosperous state, one of the most prosperous states in the world, and to see this kind of news that 3.8 million people are in worst form of poverty, and experiencing some food shortages and many other difficulties, including million kids. By the way, that's tragic. UK was, I don't know what happened to UK. It was a prosperous country, and I mean, instead of seeing news that other countries that are in turbulent places right now gaining some ground and improving their conditions of living for the citizens, we are receiving information that once prosperous countries are experiencing difficulties. I mean, world is going in the wrong way somewhere, man. That's something is wrong with this world big time, you know. RT is also reporting that Russia is planning to build two new railroads to China. That's quite interesting news, and quite understandable also, because increasing trade between China and Russia is immense, and it will only continue to gain momentum and volume, and therefore, of course, current logistical hubs, current logistical or transport ways are not enough, and there is the objective necessity to build additional logistical infrastructure. And well, two new railroads will be built between Russia and China, which is interesting and positive development. Also, by the way, China increasingly outpacing US in AI patents. That's a Bloomberg's report. And well, just look at the numbers, by the way. China has dramatically increased its lead over the US in AI patents filings. Bloomberg reports on Tuesday, citing data tracked by World Intellectual Property Organization. Chinese companies and institutions applied for 29,853 AI-related patents in 2022, compared to 29,000 in the previous year. The figure is nearly 80% more than US filings, which amounted to 60,805 over the same period, a year-on-year decline of 5.5% in the country's applications, well, this is at some hand, in one hand, one may be surprised by this development, but in other hand, well, it's just too obvious at this point that US as a major economy and basically empire is failing, and you can see it in every segment of US life, economy, business, technologies, and so on. And China is becoming major economy and the force in this world, and numbers don't lie. I mean, numbers just prove exactly that China is becoming leading not just economy but also technological force in this world. It will probably take, I don't know, 10-15 years, and China will surpass US in every possible way. It seems inevitable at this point. And Global South, by the way, is definitely will become a major force of the weather development in this world. And I don't think anything can stop this at this point. And this is it for now. To be honest, Western world did it to itself, really, with their crazy policies. They could maintain dominance in economy, in technologies, and so on, but they are too destructive, not just for the rest of the world, but for themselves itself also. And as a result, they cannot compete with Global South at this point. But anyway, this is it for now. Quite a long update, but hopefully you will find the news interesting and relevant, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. As I said many times before, one of the ways to fight back this increasingly aggressive algorithm of YouTube is likes and comments, and for very same reason, please, if you can, share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. We are very close to reach 19,000. Maybe we will reach 19,000 today or tomorrow with your help. And dear friends, if you find this project, these channels of mine on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram interesting, useful, and ones that deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links on this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. And when it comes to Patreon, yesterday I always I try to upload some extra content on Patreon on regular basis, and yesterday I did upload 2 videos on Patreon, one about military aircrafts that are used in special military operation, and second was informal talk and the news summary. Hopefully Patreon community will find those videos interesting. And well, this is it for now. Have a great day, take care, and see you soon.